Good morning, friends. Let's start the topic for the day. This is NPA. NPA stands for non-performing asset. This is one of the most important critical issue right now into banking sector. Now the challenge is like you see when banks are supposed to give loans to public. You see loans like it is a part of the balance sheet, but recovery of loan is what is more important. When you actually get yourself engaged into loans means banks are expecting some interest earnings along with the principal amount repayment on maturity date or maybe in installments. Now you see challenges like according to the statistics that we have, uh, like a huge burden of NPA is there on Indian banking. So challenges like we need to manage it. This is a big problem. Approximately the quantum of NPA in Indian banking system is approx 9 lakh crores, for which government has done lots of provisioning, but still, you see, lakhs of crore rupee of money stuck into NPA is a very serious issue. So we need to take care for this. Through this presentation, we'll try to see what are the reasons. If you go through this slide, even though the data is a little bit old, that it will give you a glimpse of it. In the first segment, you are able to see gross NPA. Gross NPA is the total number of loans that you have given to different parties, and then they have shown their indication that they're slipping into NPA. Slipping means their quality, asset quality has gone down from standard to like substandard category. Okay, so the total loan exposure, which includes the realizable value of security also, is shown in first chart where you see the quantum is increasing year over year. 2014, the smaller circle is converting into a orange color, bigger circle, and then red color, extremely big in 2016. And this trend is carried forward year over year. Now you see second chart is telling you something about the total amount of gross advance. This is the total loans that are given, and that is in rupee crores. The point is like you see, if you don't give loan, credit will not happen, and then GDP, like growth rate of your economy cannot be ensured. So loaning is something a key segment for banks, and you cannot run away from your core job. Okay, bankers core responsibility is to accept deposit and then use it for giving loans. But when loans are not getting repaid on time, it is tough for banks to not only recover it, but also how they are going to make repayments of the deposit holders' money. So it actually is a question related to their sustainability. Okay, so due to this phenomena, you must have seen banks, especially new generation private sector banks, shifting from core business, which is giving loan, to investment activities. Like now they're going into non-interest income, and then the main reason behind it is like recovery of NPA is very tough. Like you need to put in lots of efforts into it, but still sometimes you would fail to recover. Now the third chart that we have in this is telling you something about NPA as a percentage of total advance. NPA means they are just giving you in percentage form 4.4 to 6 and then 9.3. You see, this is alarming. Alarming in the sense that like for every 100 rupee that you're giving in year 2016, 9.3 rupee out of every 100 is going into NPA. Yani you're giving loan to 100 people, but only 90.7% of your loan is going to be recovered. Rest 9.3 will be stuck due to various reasons. It may be intentional or it may be unintentional due to market forces. So you see, this is actually a bet which you don't know. So you, if everything clicks well, you will get your repayment. If things don't work as per your plan, maybe sometimes you have a default. Okay, so being a developing nation, we need to keep on experimenting and giving like loan to almost all the essential sectors. Like you see, in this context, we will have a discussion on priority sector loans also. You see, priority sector loans are those areas where usually bankers would like to resist. They don't give loan easy. So there are targets set for every bank to follow. And you see, this is where you see when you put in compulsion, and the bankers are supposed to give loans under certain compulsions and targets, percentage fixed amount of loan amount set for different sectors, like let's say small industries, agriculture, education, housing, unemployed youth, women, minority groups. You see, in such cases where it is under a compulsion loan is given, so chances of NPA is very high. Let's go to the next chart. That is like, if you look into this chart, you'll find India is very high in terms of NPA. But this data is old, but during COVID, things have changed a lot. And if you look the current statistics, you will find China will be very different altogether. Earlier in this chart, it is China on fifth position, South Africa, Brazil, Russia, India. So these are BRIC nations for which values have been compared. This is nothing but NPA in percentage of gross loan. So 9% is very high for India. Russia is very close to India, and Brazil having 4%. South Africa 3, China 2. What it means ki like China is best in this in terms of NPA management. NPA they are not able to have like they are not they're good that they are able to contain it only up to 2%. But now after COVID, you see wherever China has given loans across the globe, different countries. So countries were not able to repay due to the financial economic crisis that they are going through. So maybe this value for China has been increased tremendously. So let's go in further into the topic of like categorization of loans into like various types of quality-based assets. So here you'll understand that under total loans have been classified into two categories. One is standard asset and second is non-performing asset. Now you see standard asset is any asset where loan installment is paid regularly, and even though there is a default is less than 90 days. Okay, so here we have classified our total loans into two categories. One is standard and second substandard. Substandard is any asset where loan default period is exceeding 90 days. Okay, so it is more than 90 days, hence we have to classify the account into non-performing category. Once any account is classified into NPA, it has to stay in the same classification for at least 12 more months. So you cannot clear it, the tag of NPA, just by clearing your overdue amount. Okay, so now come back to standard assets. In standard asset, we have two categories. One is regular, where there is no default, 0 day default, means regular payments are made till date, no default at all. But in second part of it, under standard assets, we do have something called as stressed standard assets. So there can be a default of 1 to 90 days. Okay, so default is there, but it is less than 90 days or max 90 days. So what we are doing is like we are this is a new term. So we are going to classify the stressed asset into three category. This is called as special mention account. SMA stands for special mention account. So we have SMA 0, SMA 1 and SMA 2. Three categorizations done. SMA 0 means default is there, but this default is less than 30 days. SMA 1 means default period in an installment is between 31 to 60 days, and then SMA 2 is where default period is between 61 days to 90 days. Now what we are trying to do is like even though you have a default, so we are trying to categorize you into three classes depending on your period of default. Less is your duration, your quality is somewhat better, but the more is your default, the quality is on a higher side, more risky. Okay, so these are qualified into like still, even though after a default of let's say uh, 89 to 90 days, you are still called as a standard asset. But once you cross this 90-day norm, you go into non-performing asset category, where you see we have classified it into three categories: substandard, doubtful, and loss. Substandard means where you have done a default greater than 90, but your default period after 90 is like you see we are going to keep you into substandard category, and we expect your repayments. But if it is not coming for next 12 months, you will be holding up into this. But if it further exceeds beyond 12 months, means first 90 days over, then next 12 months over, then we are not going to keep you in this. Again, I am going to like downgrade you from substandard to doubtful. And again, doubtful means where NPA is greater than 12 months. Now, tenure is more than 1 year. What are the chances of recovering it? Very less, very less. So, in majority of cases, doubtful assets are like those assets where recovery is not possible, where collateral value is not of considerable amount, and majority of your loan is going towards written off state. Finally, it is your loss assets, which are totally non-recoverable in nature. So when we see NPA, we see two terms: one is gross and one is net. So loss asset is going into net NPA. Okay, so net NPA percentage will be always less than gross NPA percentage, and you see every bank is struggling due to this. Hence, you see, every bank has to create a good amount of buffer from the profits to manage this loss asset. You need, for writing off these assets, you need some profit provisioning. If you don't have profit, how will you write off? Is a big challenge. So this is our today's topic for discussion.